Yes, Noel. So I want you to just keep tapping here
Yeah.
while you tune into what you want to work on. We've just listened to some channelings, and some things stood out to you and triggered you a little. So, what is it that you want to work on?
Well, it feels like a wave or, like a tidal wave of grief, Jenny.
Yeah.
And I first felt it in the first one about the parents' death, but when we got onto the battlefield, it was like, yeah. And um, yeah, that surprised me, but I feel it's, yeah, I understood the confrontation thing too. So
Yeah.
that's
Okay. So
what's happening at the moment. It's really the
tidal wave.
feeling that's tidal wave of grief.
Yeah. And where are you feeling that in your body?
Um, in my heart and my chest.
Hmm. Even though I have this tidal wave of grief,
Even though I've got this tidal wave of grief,
and I feel it in my chest.
and I feel it in my heart and chest.
Heart and chest. I ask my guides and higher self
I ask my guides and my higher self
and the multidimensional layers of my DNA
and the multidimensional layers of my DNA
that remember and store all of my lifetimes,
that remember and store all of my lifetimes,
and my current DNA that remember my ancestral life.
and my current DNA that remember my ancestral life.
I ask, where does this tidal wave of grief come from?
I ask, where does this tidal wave of grief come from?
So I can process and release it back to its origins.
So I can process and release it back to its origin.
All of these emotions,
All of these emotions,
tidal wave of grief.
the tidal wave of grief.
I feel it in my heart and my chest,
I feel it in my heart and my chest.
and I'm not sure where it comes from.
And I'm not sure where it comes from. Jenny, I just got a thing. The battlefield just came to me then, the battlefield.
I remember the battlefield,
I remember the battlefields,
all those battlefields,
all those battlefields.
lifetimes of sadness and grief,
Lifetimes of sadness and grief.
my own passing and my friends,
My own passing and my comrades.
comrades, my comrades and friends,
My comrades and friends,
soldiers in battle,
soldiers in battle,
many lifetimes of it.
many lifetimes of it.
And I ask my guides and higher self
And I ask my guides and higher self
to help me understand why my soul chose all of these lifetimes.
to help me understand why my soul chose all of these lifetimes.
Lifetimes and tidal waves of grief and sadness.
Lifetimes and tidal waves of grief and sadness.
Seeing my comrades, my soldiers die.
Seeing my comrades and soldiers die.
My own deaths.
My own deaths.
On the battlefield.
On the battlefield.
Under the arms, so many of them.
So many of them.
Why did I choose to experience so many lifetimes on the battlefield?
Why did I choose to experience so many lifetimes on the battlefield?
I choose to picture one of those battlefields.
I choose to picture one of those battlefields.
My soul.
My soul.
My human body in that lifetime on the battlefield.
My soul, my human body on the battlefield.
My comrades dying around me.
My comrades dying around me.
My moment of death.
And my moment of death.
As I rise above that.
As I rise above that.
Looking down, seeing all that death.
Looking down, seeing all of that death.
My soul rising way above it.
My soul rising way above it.
Releasing the human emotion and sadness.
Releasing the human emotion and sadness.
as I go higher into the light,
as I go higher into the light,
observing from a spiritual perspective,
observing from the spiritual perspective,
as that emotion, human emotion and sadness falls away from me.
as that human emotion and sadness falls away from me.
I begin to understand this at a soul level.
I begin to understand this at a soul level.
The higher I go,
The higher I go,
the more understanding at a soul level I gain.
the more understanding at a soul level I gain.
The more I understand my planning sessions.
The more I understand my planning session.
And all those comrades that chose this as well.
And all those comrades who chose this as well.
And I rise even higher.
And I rise even higher.
All the way up to the master beings of light.
All the way up to the master beings of light.
And I ask the master beings of light.
And I ask the master beings of light.
What's my higher learning and lesson here?
What's my higher learning and lesson here? Oh, for fuck's sake, Johnny, it seems so obvious. Fucking peace is the first thing that comes to me is peace. Yeah. Sorry, just everyone swearing away there.
I chose that lifetime.
I chose that lifetime.
To be able to understand the difference.
And to be able to understand the difference
between anger, fighting, and the battlefield.
Anger, fighting, and the battlefield.
And peace.
And peace. Inner peace. Every peace. Inner peace.
I chose that lifetime to have contrast.
I chose that lifetime to have contrast. Extreme contrast.
Extreme contrast.
Extreme contrast.
And I thank my soul.
And I thank my soul
for volunteering me for that experience.
For volunteering me for that experience.
So I could have the extreme contrast.
So I could have the extreme contrast.
And to be grateful for my lifetimes when I've had peace.
And to be grateful for my lifetimes where I've had peace. Where I've contributed to peace.
Where I've contributed to peace.
Peace, yeah.
And as a being of light.
And as a being of light.
I have full free choice.
I have full free choice.
And it's my choice and my instruction.
And it's my choice and my instruction.
To all pieces and parts of me.
To all pieces and parts of me.
That remember those lifetimes on the battlefields.
That remember those lifetimes on battlefields.
To process and release what no longer serves me now.
To process and release what no longer serves me now.
And to remember that I can contribute to peace.
And to remember that I can contribute to peace and maintain my own peace.
I can maintain my own peace.
I can maintain my own peace.
I embrace peace.
I embrace peace.
Even when I remember.
Even when I remember.
On the battlefield.
Being on the battlefield.
I embrace peace.
I embrace peace.
I embrace peace.
I embrace peace.
Even when I remember being on the battlefield.
Even when I remember being on the battlefield.
And everything I experienced.
And everything I experienced.
I volunteered for that.
I volunteered for that.
For my higher learning and lesson.
For my higher learning and lesson.
And I give permission for all pieces and parts of me.
And I give permission for all pieces and parts of me.
To release the grief and sadness.
to release the grief and sadness.
The tidal waves can flatten out into a peaceful sea.
The tidal waves can flatten out into a peaceful sea
And see waves of peace.
and see waves of peace rolling in.
Even when I remember those lifetimes on the battlefield.
Even when I remember those lifetimes on the battlefields.
Comrades falling.
Comrades falling.
I honour their soul journey.
I honour their soul journey.
Their soul volunteering for that experience.
Their soul volunteering for that experience.
For their own higher learning and lesson.
For their own higher learning and lesson.
On both sides of the battle.
On all sides of the battlefield.
Mm.
Mm.
I honour their journey.
I honour their journey.
And I release the sadness.
And I release the grief and sadness.
And I contribute even more to peace.
And I contribute even more to peace.
Within me and around me.
Within me and around me.
It's safe to feel peace now.
It's safe to feel peace now. It's safe to be peace now.
Mm. Deep breath.
Thank you.
So when you think of that battlefield now, like battlefields and comrades and everything that's going on with that.
Yeah. I'm coming into the lesson and the peace, moving across, if that makes sense.
Overview. The overview is overlaid on it now of the soul learning and lesson rather than the human bombardment of the grief and sadness.
Yeah. And Jenny, that was a beautiful image because what I'm seeing now is this ocean, the small ocean waves of peace coming in. It's a beautiful image. So thank you for that.
Mm. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Great.